Hi, I'm Joan Kang Shin. Welcome to Our World's Professional Development Program. These videos will help teachers improve their classroom practice and help their students to get the most out of Our World. The topic of this video is successful lessons. Of course, every teacher hopes her lessons will be effective and plans for success. Imagine yourself as the perfect teacher. You study the best practices for teaching English to young learners. You learn the steps of an effective language lesson. You carefully plan each step of your lesson. You prepare all the materials you need for each activity in your lesson plan. You arrive 15 minutes before class and set up the room and all your materials. Then your students arrive. What happens? Scenario A. Every activity goes smoothly and you're able to stick to your lesson plan because your students understand everything you say, follow your instructions carefully, learn the new language quickly and easily, and enjoy every activity you ask them to do. Or scenario B. You have to change your plan immediately because the first activity takes twice as long as you expected. Then the video player doesn't work, so you have to sing the song yourself without music. And students don't understand the game you prepared, so you have to play the game as a whole class and with your guidance instead of in groups as originally planned. Of course, scenario B is more likely to happen. It is important to recognize that scenario A is rarely realistic, especially when teaching children, there is always an element of surprise. Even the best made plans can be upset by a class of energetic and curious young learners, let alone by other issues like computer or video problems. In this video, we're going to look at how to ensure your lessons are successful in any classroom situation. Always remember that teaching is a balance between art and science. On the one hand, you can approach teaching as a science. You want to study and follow the best practices in teaching English to young learners, like planning your lessons with all the right steps, engaging learners with real-world content, respecting different learning styles, and encouraging real communication in the classroom. You might even conduct research in the classroom. On the other hand, as in real life, there is always an element of surprise in the classroom. Much of teaching is really an art, and this art requires different knowledge and skills. In a classroom full of children, there are many factors you cannot control. A successful teacher learns to be creative so she can adapt to unplanned events and integrate students' whole beings into her lesson plan. This includes adjusting instruction based on students' unique personalities, their mood swings, their varied interests, and their diverse personal and emotional needs. Scenario A is unrealistic because every day is different for each child in your class. You have to combine skillful and research-informed teaching with in-depth understanding of the children in your classroom. This means seeing your students as dynamic individuals as well as language learners. When you experience teaching as a balance between art and science, you will find it even more rewarding and your classes will be more successful and fun. The Our World student books and lesson planners reflect this balance between art and science. They include activities based on classroom research and best practices of teaching to young learners, but they also offer many ideas for adapting to your students and bringing artistry into the class. Most teachers of young learners will tell you that no matter how carefully you plan your lessons, you can never plan for every circumstance. You have to be ready for unexpected results. These unexpected results are sometimes good and sometimes not so good. But either way, when teaching young learners, you should expect the unexpected and appreciate that there is never a dull moment.
Well, I guess that it's that you don't know how your class is going to be. There's always a surprise with young learners, you know. Some days kids are very active and really like getting into your lesson, and the other day maybe they're boring and they don't want to work. So it's that like that surprise that you get with your students that you don't know how is it going to be, right?
Experienced teachers know that it's a good idea to prepare for the unexpected and have a backup plan or plan B for all their activities. This flexibility ensures your lesson will be a success. For example, the teacher in scenario B had a backup plan. When the video didn't work, she was ready to sing the song herself without the video or music. That means she practiced the song before class and knew it by heart.
This is my school, this is your school, this is my school, I like my school.
To be creative and flexible, you have to know the activities and materials inside and out. Luckily, with the Our World Lesson Planner, teachers have many different activities to choose from, including extension activity suggestions that are not in the student book. In addition, there are many additional activities and games in the classroom presentation tool, the CD-ROM, and the video. Our World provides a wealth of content-rich resources for teachers to implement Plan B smoothly and successfully. In addition to having a Plan B, keep an eye out for those teachable moments that arise unexpectedly and can provide an opportunity to teach your students something exciting and worthwhile that is not in your lesson plan. For example, maybe you're doing a reading about paper art and a student who doesn't participate much raises his hand and says he knows how to make paper art and shows you something he made. You should grab this teachable moment that involves a student teaching other students how to make something. If you can think quickly enough on your feet, you can have students make new sentences using the student's name for extra practice. In this example, the teachable moment created a positive learning environment, gave students additional practice in a real context, and empowered a student who otherwise may have felt shy or unimportant. No matter how successful your lessons are, there is always room for growth and improvement. For even more successful lessons, it is important to become a reflective teacher. The goal of reflection is to help teachers improve the teaching and learning in their classes. Donald Schoen, an influential theorist in professional learning, describes 3 main types of reflective practice. These can be applied to teachers in the classroom. Reflection in action means we think about what we are doing while we are teaching in the classroom. Reflection on action means we think about what we did after the class is over. Reflection for action means we use what we have learned from our reflections to plan future classes. It can be helpful to incorporate reflective teaching into your lesson plans. For reflection in action, you can leave a space on your lesson plan to write down how the class is going right at the point of action. For example, if you are presenting new vocabulary and the students do not understand, you might write a note to yourself to bring in some realia next class.
I checked the steps, what went wrong, and you find what was the problem. Sometimes the students were not ready for the topic. The connection with the previous topic was not there. You thought it was there. They didn't have the vocabulary. And then you have to do something. It's not a day that you wasted, but you learned something new, and then you have to retake, that lesson and make it better with new activities and try again.
For reflection on action, you can keep a journal or teaching diary, or leave space at the end of the lesson plan to write down thoughts about how the lesson went.
The teacher reflects on his or her own lesson, what he or she did on that day, what was successful and what was not, what went well and why it went well, because it's not enough that when things went well, that it's okay, it's the end. Sometimes it's just, there should be a why behind that.
To be sure you always do reflection for action, it can be helpful to guide your reflection with some questions and even a graphic organizer to collect your thoughts. Here are some questions for reflection on action and reflection for action. What was successful in my class? Why? What did not go well in my class? Why? What are some things I will do again to ensure success? What might I do differently next time to address the problem? If you take time to reflect on your own teaching in depth and take action to address any problems you may have, you will start to see improvements in your teaching and your students' learning. Teaching is both an art and a science. Having successful lessons takes thoughtful and purposeful planning that includes reflective teaching as a part of the process. It also requires creativity and the readiness to make adjustments at the moment of instruction. Remember to expect the unexpected by having a plan B just in case, and keeping an eye out for those teachable moments. The more you teach, the more you will know how to blend your skills and artistry into successful lessons.
This is our world. Everybody's got a song to sing. Each boy and girl. This is our world.